up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Independent Living Podcast. This is where we talk with some of the dopest and brightest independent artists. And today, I haven't been following this artist for that long, but I have been paying attention, very close attention, at least for the last maybe 3, 4, or 5 months. She goes by the name of Ryon, and we have her manager, Kosh, here. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you
for having us.
I want to allow each of you just to do a brief intro so people know like who you are and just a little bit of your background, and then we'll jump right into some of these questions.
Yeah, so I'll go first. I'm Kosh. I managed Ryon since 2022, which was the beginning of her as an artist. Before that, I did film production and marketing consulting, trying to just teach creative people how to make money doing what they love. And then prior to that, I was doing filmmaking up to assistant director, producer roles.
Okay. Kennedy, who is Kennedy Ryon?
People like to refer to me as the modern day Nina Simone, or if Amy Winehouse and Jasmine Sullivan had a baby, then hi, goo goo gaga.
Bam. That's an amazing description.
I like to create timeless music. My goal is to create timeless music. That's pretty much like a brief synopsis about me.
Dope. And if the songs that I've heard are definitely that, I think the songs that you're making will continue to live. But so how did you guys, who wants to tell the story of like how you guys met? Because a lot of artists want to know, like, how do I get a manager? When should I get a manager?
Yeah, so I'll tell it. So in Atlanta, there's usually something going on. And I was out at an event that was hosted by a mutual friend, and I just kind of got introduced to Kennedy randomly. And I asked her what she did, and she was like, I do medical. And I was like, well, so you're not creative? And she was like, no, I'm creative. And I was like, okay, like how? And she's like, I sing. And I was like, yeah, okay, you sing. Like, we're in Atlanta. Everybody sings, except for me, hopefully. And so something about the conversation just felt genuine, like kind of this energy that she has is kind of like bubbly. So I was like, let me just like kind of dive into that and see if there's more there. So we had a meeting another day, and she was like really, really anxious. And I just kind of like snatched the phone out of her hand and was like, let me play these voice memos that she had. And I heard her voice, and I was like, this is crazy. I want to do something. I want to work with you in some capacity. But what I didn't realize at that time was how great of a writer she was. So I kind of lucked out in that sense, because that just came in the studio eventually when we got there.
So, Kennedy, how did you receive the communication? How did you receive the initial vibe? What did you think? Did you actually say that you wanted to explore the possibility of working from the jump, or was that just in your mind? My bad.
It was like, I'm kind of a very direct person. So I was like, hey, I just kind of want to see what you got. And then she had this phone, and she had I just scroll of voice memos. But she's sitting there like this, like she won't really play anything. So the direct person that I am, I just grabbed the phone and I started playing the shit, and she's just cringing in the background.
Well, so how did you receive mine? Oh, you can go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So how did you receive this communication? Did you think it was weird? Like, were you nervous? Like, what was going on at this time?
I was definitely nervous and definitely anxious, because prior to that, I hadn't been doing music for 7 years. Like, I completely stopped singing. I wasn't playing piano, like listening to music. But for me to utter a song or like write, it was just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And I was in a space at that time where I kind of wanted to like tinker with it a little bit. And I didn't have any friends or family or support group to like push me. So to meet Kosh and then him just be like, fuck is you talking about? Like, if you say you can sing, like, let me hear it. Like, no one else has really approached it at that time from a place of like, I guess, belief, especially belief without already like hearing. He was just like adamant about it. And then him listening to the voice memos that I had was like you have something. So for me, it was just anxious also because not singing for 7 years, I'm obviously kind of like lost that self-belief and that confidence in my voice. So I'm even more anxious and constrained in like how I'm feeling because I'm like being vulnerable and I was getting into a place where I wanted to make music my baby again. So in a sense, I'm giving someone my child pretty much. But yeah.
Yeah. Because so I always push back on managers or people that say you should get a manager when you have something to manage. I always push back on that because I believe if you find the right person early, like you can build something together to
Yeah.
manage. Kosh, is that your perspective? Because obviously she wasn't like a full-time artist at the time.
Right. Yeah. I think I would agree with you. I just think that you have to understand. I always say this. I hate saying you have to do anything. I think it's important to understand like talent. I think if you understand talent, then you can recognize it. And if you can recognize it at that level, then it's okay to have somebody who wants to partner with you, but you got to kind of build a like rapport a little bit to understand that they actually want to partner with you and not just take advantage of you.
Yeah.
Right. No, for sure. So what was that? How did you get comfortable that Kennedy, this for you? Like, how did you guys get comfortable? I mean, you just met this cat. He said he wants to work with you. Like, how did it develop to a point where there was a formal relationship that you were comfortable with?
I guess just him like affirming in the fact that I had like gems, but also even though I lacked confidence at that time, just what he was putting off wasn't like a money grab or what's the word? Damn, of course I'm drawing a blank in this moment. I always draw a blank when I think of a big ass word too. It just didn't feel like a cash grab or opportunistic. Bingo! Ah! It didn't feel like a cash grab or opportunistic, and he was affirming in the sense and just not pushy. Also was willing to allow me to rely on like the resources of people that he had. I can throw his name out there. His longtime friend, but he's also someone that has worked with a plethora of artists and especially Summer Walker. Kosh was like, I know Dose Diaz, and Dose has worked with Summer Walker and he works with what's the Division. And so I was able to pretty much have my first studio session with Dose and try to become even more comfortable. One, just being in a room with people while I'm singing, and two, just trying to gain a better understanding of who I am, one as a person, but two, also as an artist, and just being able to be provided spaces where just, again, it's not opportunistic and like people believe in like pushing you, but pushing you further into like self-belief and just affirming in me, like, you can do this, you have what it takes, but also like you got to want it too, pretty much.
Yeah. So how long between you guys initially met to it being like a formal partnership? How much time?
It probably took about a year. Probably took almost a full year. I remember talking to Dose, and he was like, after we had done that session, this was months later, and he was like, Kennedy has something, but he was like, y'all gotta like push it. And I remember he was like, just make sure you tell her that. And I remember we had a conversation about that, and then we just like, we were both working jobs at that time, so it was like harder, but we just tried to make the time wherever we could make to do what we needed to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I asked that question because what we just talked about, I think people might jump to the conclusion that it was like, oh, it was next week. Like, I met her.
Right.
7 days.
No.
Yeah. Kennedy doesn't operate like that, though. And to her credit, I would say she's really good at discernment and like reading people. And so I think like ultimately I could have said or did whatever, but if she didn't feel right about it, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot happens in these memos. Do these memos are these like the initial like structure for songs? Is it content? Is there like, what are you doing in these memos?
It's really just I call them downloads, like downloads from God. Like I could just be I could be grocery shopping at freaking Lidl, and then in the middle of me picking up like a bag of vegetables, just get like a beat. And then I'm like, well, let me pull out my phone and just record it. So some of them are like beats. Some of them are literally just me singing lyrics. Because for me, a lot of the time when it comes to creating, sometimes the beat may come first. Sometimes the chorus might come first. Sometimes verse 1 might come first. So sometimes it's an entire song, like without a beat behind it, or it's really just kind of like a sample, basically.
Gotcha.
And they just kind of stack and stack and stack and stack. And then I'll just pull from that memo when I'm like, I'm trying to create something different, or just going back and being like, okay, what did I record at like such and such time, and then just jump that into GarageBand. But it's really just a folder full of God downloads, honestly.
And that would be, because I'm a fan of, like, I think every artist should have like a branded content series that comes out every so often. Downloads from God would be a really dope like content series.
That would. So I'm just gonna.
All right, it's getting copyrighted tomorrow, so
that would be fire. Dope. So how do you guys like, what's the structure? I'm sure you talk probably daily, maybe multiple times a day, but like what's the working relationship look like on a weekly basis?
Okay. I try to let Kennedy just be an artist. I call myself the label in a sense, because I do so many things, and I delegate, and I talk to all the people that help us so frequently, that my goal is to try to give her the space to just kind of not do a lot other than make music. So it really just depends on the week, but oftentimes it's just like communicating about, like, we try to communicate about everything. So communicating about finances, communicating about like upcoming shows, communicating about rehearsals, communicating about what song we want to release next, talking with our producer Swanky, talking with the engineer. It's just like a lot of conversations. And then there's content. So it's kind of both of those things. It's like, okay, we need to go out this day and we need to shoot 3 pieces of content for this song today. And then just trying to spend 2 or 3 hours doing that. And then we probably do, it depends on the week, but maybe 1 to 2 days a week of doing that. But we also have so much content at this point that I can pull from the past. So it's easy to it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Nice. So I definitely resonate with, even now as a manager, like I still do a lot. Like managers that are really tapped in and teams that don't have the resources yet to like hire a social media person and a publicist, like it typically falls on the manager to do like everything. So I definitely understand the experience that you guys are going through. So Kennedy, what's the cadence of releases at the moment, or what are you working on?
Can I say?
Yeah.
It's the idea, or the angle is to drop a single every month. Of course, currently right now with the trajectory that Ego is going on, which it is going on a tear, we wanted to drop the next single on like September 1st, but we're kind of going to push it, which I believe all artists should do. If a song is like really going crazy, the content is responding well, the streams are responding well, and of course, first and foremost, this song is going well, then you should just push it as much as you can, because then you're going to get it in front of more and more people. But again, the idea is just to release a single every month. And then once we've released all the singles that would go on an album, then maybe an album would come out. But yeah.
Gotcha.
So if you missed any of that, because you were breaking up a little bit,
Sorry.
At least for me. Yeah, if you missed any of that, we aim for a month, but sometimes it's like 6 weeks or so, and then just continuing to push songs that are like showing us data wise that they're working.
Yeah.
And that's what Ego's doing right now. So it's like, we're not going to stop promoting it at this point. And I would say Baby Mama Drama is in kind of a similar trajectory, just not as crazy in the current moment.
Dope. Can you tell people that like what, because Ego obviously is the song that has done the best thus far, like what tell people what it's about and kind of what it, what it represents, kind of how you made or what made you want to make the song.
Okay, I'm just gonna drop a depressing bomb here. So I was in an abusive relationship for about 7 years.
Kennedy. You're gonna have to go inside because you're just breaking up too crazy right now.
Okay, sorry.
I think it's really just like with movement too. Sometimes like if there's extra movement, and I see that Kennedy has a lot of energy, and I love that for sure. It's just sometimes Riverside, with like
I mean, whatever you need to do.
So I was in an abusive relationship for about 7 years. And of course, coming out of that abusive relationship, I had a lot to reflect on and a lot to think on, not only just with the abusive relationship within itself, but with why I allowed myself to put up with that kind of abuse, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, for 7 years. And so Ego was really like a record where I had to confront myself. And I feel like outside of me not having any confidence or lacking self-worth or lacking belief in myself, liking myself, loving myself, I really had to get down to like the nuts and bolts of why I allowed that. And I came to the conclusion of I feel like it was my ego, because I felt like although this person was showing me day in and day out for 7 years straight that one, they did not love me, they did not like me, they tolerated me, probably hated me. Even with all of that, I still felt like I can change this person, I can fix this person. And if I, like me, does certain things, then they'll change for me, which I feel like from my own perspective and experience is in a way selfish, but also just comes down to ego, because at the end of the day, I feel like it has to do with me, why this person would change, not them just holding and taking accountability for themselves and their actions. So basically, to make a long story short, that really is what ego is about. It's just me having a conversation with myself and my ego, of like ignoring my ego the entire time, of like, I'm knowing I shouldn't be in this relationship anymore, I don't deserve this, but at the same time I'm like, I can change them, which is why like the bridge is like, hey ego, don't fail me, but this lesson is scary. It's like, it's scary, but But
Nah, I love that. That's powerful. And unfortunately and fortunately, like it's going to resonate. A lot of people are in abusive relationships. So that's the unfortunate piece. But the fortunate piece is that, that this is art that I think is going to resonate with a lot of people, and has already. I think there's more room for this particular track to grow. I think it's a special song. I know that sometimes in this industry, as we're putting out so much content, people are just focused on like the initial streams, right? Like really, really the value of your catalog is like releasing quality songs over time, and so that you have something that your community is going to listen to for a very long time. Like some people have viral songs and they listen to them, and then the streaming decay is so steep that song's not worth anything like a year from now, right? So I think you guys are doing an amazing thing and like maintaining that quality and the power in each of these songs. Not that every song has to be like a grand slam.
Yeah.
But,
It does for Kennedy, but yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, grand slams only on the Kennedy Ryon squad. Okay. But Kosh, one thing that I noticed when I started following you guys have like a pretty good marketing campaign. Once I followed, and then I subscribed to the email. I forget what got me into the world, but can you describe like the email and like the marketing setup that you guys have, like to continuously communicate with people via email?
Yeah. So right now, you mean like how we're sending out emails? Is that what you're asking?
Not just sending out emails, but how are you getting people subscribed initially? Like how are you getting people into the funnel?
Oh, got you. Okay. Yeah. So what we're doing is, I mean, the biggest thing is you have to make great content. So, and it's like everybody says, you got to make great content. It's like, what does that actually mean? It's like, I think the easiest way to put it is when you make it, if you watch it and it makes you feel something, or if the person that is making it for you plays it for you and you feel something, or if you play it for somebody that you know nearby and they smile or light up or whatever the case around that. And then we're asking people for their email in response to like consuming the content. So it could be a song, it could be for like a show or something, but people are essentially like sending like a DM. Sometimes it's a comment too. It could be both. And then we're following up with them in the DM and we're saying like, if you want the song or if you want to get the link, then just share your email with us. And that's how we're kind of able to bring people into the funnel. And then from there, it's like trying to elaborate on Kennedy's story through emails so that people, if they just discovered her today, they can understand who she is in a week or so, something like that.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of artists don't have somebody on their team to do like a successful like email marketing campaign. And then, you know, if they do it on their own, they typically don't really like spend the time to like really craft like well-written emails that engage people. But I think you guys have done a really good job at like really telling the story and continuing to offer value.
Thank you.
To keep the open rates high. I'm not sure what the open rates are, but I'm sure.
Yeah, they're high. They're high. They're like over 40%, and we have over 20,000 people on the email list. So
that's amazing. And I figured it would be. Like I'm not new to this. I could recognize like quality, you know, email campaigns when I see them. I would like to know from each of you. I'd be interested if it was the same thing, but like what do you feel like? Kennedy, maybe you answer first. Okay. If you can snap your fingers and like add something to the team that you really need right now, like what do you think that is, if anything?
I mean, damn. This is such of course, a stylist, yeah, but also in some type of ways, like a bigger budget would help. We're still trying to figure things out in that realm. But I think for me, a budget and a stylist is a good point. Thanks, Kosh. I have a lot of style. It's just one, budget, and two, I think for me, I sometimes can have the tendency to be overstimulated because I have ADD and I have ADHD and also have OCD. So I just keep like a Pinterest board of like different types of outfits. But I think for me, having a stylist on hand for me to be able to have like the privilege of saying like, this is my Pinterest board, go crazy. I think that would definitely be the next step, because a lot of people and just different artists that I've met thus far have really brought up the point of like, the content is so dope, but we just need like more fits from you. I think that would be like the next step up type of deal. Outside of those two things, we have an incredible team. Everybody is on the same page. Everybody's willing to put in the work. And above all, everybody believes.
That's dope.
And if there's no belief, then what are we all doing it for, basically? But yeah, probably just a little bit of that and fits.
So I've only worked with like I've only worked with guys like directly in terms of like managing or signing them to the label. I do realize that as a woman, you know, just the pressure on appearance and things. So I understand why you say stylist. If you were a fella and he was like, I need a stylist, I'd be like, man, you don't need no stylist.
Like, just throw on a chain, some J's, and a wife beater, like you're set. For me, I'm like, there's only so many times I can wear like jeans and a t-shirt in content. So I completely get it.
Have you guys tried reaching out to just some brands to get some, you know, do some sponsorship or some brand partnership stuff?
Yeah, I mean, that's the next step overall. Like, there's going to be a lot of kind of outreach in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But it's also like we're very, very intentional about, and I learned this from Kennedy, just being very, very intentional about pretty much every step we take, but most importantly, like what features she agrees to, what brand sponsorship she agrees to, like all kinds of stuff. Cause it comes as you grow, but it's like, you can't say yes to everything because you have to, again, there it is again. It's important that you understand what you're trying to communicate with your brand.
Yeah. No, for sure. And this is just my opinion, just kind of like working with independent artists myself and just kind of seeing like thousands over the years. Like I do feel like on average, people are too protective of their brand like early on. It's like, bro, like you're missing opportunities because you want to do something like one way. It's like you have to like give a little here and there. And as you progress and have more success, then we can, like more define exactly, or just do it exactly how you want. But I would encourage most independent artists to just, open up a little bit. But that's just, again, not maybe advice.
No, I agree with that. I think that's I think there needs to be a balance, and it's like, well, how do you communicate a balance to somebody? It's like, I think it's just like, does this feel, a lot of what we do is based on, does this feel right in my gut?
Nice. Yeah. No, you got to go with the gut. So Kosh, is it the same answer? Like what would you change, or what would you add to the mix if you could snap your fingers and boom, it'd be right there?
I just want the streaming checks to come quicker. That's it. If the quicker it comes, the easier it is to use to grow. Right. So, I mean, we've reinvested everything and it's paid off. So, I mean, the right investment, I would say just the right investment.
Not even the right investment, the right terms, because the money means nothing if the terms are shit.
Right. Yeah. What? Okay, let's create a deal right now that you feel is favorable. Did you feel that you feel that you feel like it's fair on both sides? Don't just be like, I want $1 million, I want a 90-10 split. Like, just let's.
Yeah, no, I got a fun deal for you. Okay, so the deal would be 90-10 artist favor, no advance, 1 year term on the distro. And whoever offers the deal uses their own non-discretionary, I might be saying that wrong. They use their own discretionary marketing budget to push the music, and it's not it doesn't need to be recouped.
Even that might be. I don't know your guys' numbers, but I guess it depends on it depends on how big you want the marketing budget.
It depends on where you're at. Yeah, 100%. And to your point, agreed. Yeah,
he don't know the numbers and he ain't heard the music, all of it.
So here at Tula, I'm gonna send them your profile and say I don't sit on the A&R team.
Yeah.
Thankfully, like my brand, I'm director of marketing, so I'm responsible for like the Tula's brand, right?
Yeah.
And I like that because I don't.
And you do a great job of it too.
I appreciate it. We got a team. We got a good team. Oh, it's a small team, but we're growing and we're going to be pulling more levers in the near future. So I'm excited. But I think that's, I depending on how big the marketing budget, I think, I think that's fair. Dope. So what's one thing, I guess you kind of answered it in the question of like, what just kind of annoys you about the industry as we're experiencing it now?
You want to go first, Kennedy? If not, I can go, but
I'll go. I would say, just piggybacking off of that, I'd say people reaching out and saying they believe in me and what we're doing, what we're building, what we're cultivating, and that it's a sound that they've never heard before, or it's just we really enjoy the music type of deal. And then we'll follow up with like a crazy deal that's like, bruh, like I'm not going to sign a slave contract. Like, what are we doing? I'd say that's the most annoying, but also the most just unfortunate. But it's like, it's a part of the game. I understand everybody's got to eat. I just want me and my team to eat that much more. So I'd say that's like the hurdle is like, well, it's not like a hurdle. If it's going to take 10 years to get the right deal, then it's going to take 10 years to get the right deal. But just going back on being intentional, I'm not just going to sign anything because I know there's a bag behind it. How is this going to affect me in the long term? Yeah.
Okay. Kosh?
I'm not really annoyed by a lot. I think it's a great time to be an artist. I really do. Overall, I think if you can, I mean, I think in any industry, you're going to deal with people who win and people who don't. And that's just part of life. But I think you don't have to sell CDs anymore and you can make real money. So that right there feels like an opportunity. It doesn't mean that that's the only opportunity that you should leverage to make money as an artist. But I think you now have kind of the flexibility to make money in so many different kinds of ways. And you can do it without signing if you're willing to do the work. And I think that's the most, I would say that's the like opportunity piece of it more than it being annoying. I mean, I'm sure there's pieces of that are annoying too. Like sometimes we get annoyed with shooting content of the same song. Yeah. But ultimately, I think it's a blessing.
I think for me, not that you guys asked me the question, but like from my side, you know, there's just a lot of bad information out there, and it just has, and that's one of the reasons why we do this podcast and we go direct to teams like yours that are getting some traction, or we have the Music Entrepreneur Club, and then we do Two Lost Office Out. We do a lot of like music business education because there is a lot of ways to build a business these days. You know, a lot of artists. For a lot of artists these days, more artists than you would think, like a majority of their business is streaming. You wouldn't think that because so many people are online, like bashing streaming, saying you can't make any money, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, like, most artists don't make money at anything. You know, there's so many artists out there. If you can make $1, you know, you're an outlier. So there's a lot of bad information out there, and that's, you know, appreciate you guys being on this platform, sharing your story. Yeah. And then to Kenny's point, in terms of like the deals, you know, what I always say is like everybody has their own opinion on what is fair. Yeah. Right. And you just have to find people that are aligned, you know, where you have a similar definition of what is fair. Because it doesn't always mean that somebody is shady or trying to do something wrong. Some people are just more close to the traditional music business, haven't yet really evolved like to how people are moving and shaking now, and their deal is like fair to them, but it's fair relative to the deal that they gave, you know, whoever, Nelly or 50 Cent or whatever, you know, in the 2000s or whatever, you know, early 2000s. So yeah, given that every artist kind of builds their business differently, I don't ask artists like how much money they make, but like percentage wise, like where does the revenue come from at this point of the business? So like X% streaming, X% merch, X% publishing, like how do you build your business now?
Yeah, I would say probably 80% of it is streaming. Shout out to Spotify. Everybody wants to take their music off Spotify. I don't think that's a good idea. But yeah, probably 80% streaming, and then the other 20% probably comes from like appearances and shows. We've done some merch, but usually when we sell merch, it's like in person. And then I'm giving you like a hard 80-20. There's probably, so let's say stream is 70, show revenue is 20, and then the other 10 is like digital downloads. Surprisingly, like people are buying digital downloads at an impressive rate where it's making us real money.
That's dope. Where are you guys selling the downloads?
We do it on a platform called Kaizen.
Okay.
And so Kaizen is a platform that lets you create music and update it over time. And as you do that, you can sell it as well. So for example, let's say you have a demo of your song and you are really excited about that demo. You can take that demo, put it on Kaizen, and you can sell it immediately to your supporters if you would like to. You can also offer it for free or pay what you want, whatever option you like. But then you can also create versions of it so people can kind of watch you build the song out over time.
Super dope. Super dope. Kennedy, what are you excited about this year?
Growth. I'm just excited to grow and just build an even bigger like supporter base, honestly. And just to see where I can take myself, really.
Are you excited? I mean, I'm sure you guys are both excited, but anything specifically that you're looking forward to this year? Any goal you're trying to reach?
Yeah, I want to do 4 million streams a month. We're at like 2 right now.
Nice.
So if we can get to 4 by the end of the year, that would be great. I think we can do it. And I would say maybe touring, but like sometime next year.
Yeah.
It's not probably the most exciting goal to have because I know it's going to be a shit ton of work, but it's going to be cool to like engage with the people and just get to see real screaming supporters like we saw in DC where she couldn't even hear her monitor, like that.
That was wild.
That kind of stuff.
Nice. No, that's beautiful. I mean, touring. I mean, Kosh and I were talking about it before we jumped on here. It's like touring.
Yeah.
Most artists underestimate how difficult touring is. Like to get somebody to come out of their house. If they got kids, they got to get a babysitter. Pay for parking, pay for these ridiculous fees on these damn tickets. Like it's a lot. So if you have people that come out to watch you put on the show that they'll remember and that they want to bring people back to the next one for, is the live show dope?
Oh,
what
absolutely.
you mean? What you mean? The live show experience. I literally could not hear myself at the DC show. That for me was like the love in the room. Like there's love at all of the shows and people really come out and support. Just DC was like the next step up. It was just a different experience because the love was just crazy. The support was even more crazy. Men, women in the audience. It was young, old. It's just, I won't want to say wild to see. I have to stop saying that. It's beautiful to see. And then just, of course, there are shows where everyone comes out, everyone's singing the lyrics, but it's like sometimes like a select few because I know people are still coming out to the shows and we're both still getting to know each other. But DC was like the first show where everybody in the crowd was singing it like word for word, line for line. And it was just a beautiful experience. I couldn't even, like the monitor was like right at my feet. I couldn't even hear myself. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm definitely excited for more of that.
Yeah. I mean, you act like it's a bad credit. I know you guys have seen some pretty terrible performances in recent days.
Yeah, for sure. But to Kennedy's credit, she is. You ask like, what does a week look like? And I should have said this, but to Kennedy's credit, she watches a lot of performances.
Yeah.
She studies performances, and she's really intentional about making sure that it feels like an experience for people. So it's great.
No, you even mentioned the word rehearse early in this conversation. So the fact that you're rehearsing and, because if you really want touring to be part of your business, you have to put on a great show that people want.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You have to
think about that now of like how the shows are and incorporating more choreography, theatrics, like animation behind it. I'm really trying to put myself in a mindset even before touring is supposed to start of stadiums. Like I'm not thinking venues anymore. I'm starting to put more of my mindset there. And I've just been studying different artists, like from young, like I grew up studying Destiny's Child, like religiously, like the MTV Awards would be on. I knew the dance routine like that. But yeah.
Last question and we'll wrap it up. If you were to open for anyone or collab with anyone, give me somebody that's like, anybody, you can say Beyonce, whoever, and then give me somebody that you feel like is close to obtainable.
And so it's like, I think about this on a daily basis and when the question comes, I clam up. Of course, Beyonce would be like at the top. I would say second after that. Ooh, oh my gosh. Dang. I'm just going to say them both. Ray and Doja Cat, those are two women that I specifically study on a daily basis. I also just admire their artistry and their talent. I could throw in another one, but yeah.
Okay. And then Kosh, a slightly different question for you, but like, in terms of your development as a manager, what are some of the things the areas that you would like to grow in?
Ooh.
Or you just that dude already? I mean, that could
that's super arrogant. That's super arrogant. Like I read a lot and I talk to a lot of people that have done stuff before me. So I'm grateful to be in the position I'm in. But I would say I just want to get to a place where I can focus my energy more on business development and less on working in the business. So the next step is kind of like hiring and delegating more so that I can focus on like her trajectory and decision making most.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think from the outside looking in, it seems like you guys are doing an amazing job. You got amazing music, amazing visuals. The marketing seems to be on point. I would just encourage you guys. I think a lot of things, what a lot of times, what breaks teams apart is just the lack of communication. It seems like you guys got great communication. I would just encourage you guys to make sure that you're tapped in as you grow and have more success, bring more people into the fold. That communication is so key, so key.
Thank you.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
I received that. Thank you for the affirmation.
Yes.
That's
Thank
the
you.
goal every day. That's the goal every day.
for sure. Anything else that I didn't mention that we should mention? Any words of encouragement for up and coming artists? Or let's leave it with what's your advice to other artists that are coming up right now?
Something I'd said recently was to just feel the fear and do it anyway, and continue to just ask God to meet you at your non-belief, wherever that may be, whatever that may look like. And that the only limit is the one that you give yourself.
I love
and
that.
Music that stays on hard drives will never be heard. So just put the shit out. But ultimately, something that I specifically tell my brother 24/7, but also myself, is make music that you need to hear, not what you think people want to hear, and stick to what you need to hear, and don't try and recreate something that we've already had before.
Love it. Is this brother older or younger?
He's younger.
So he's an artist as well. Does he sing?
He's a rapper. He doesn't like take it serious.
Okay.
It's kind of like, for him, it's kind of like a hobby, but he's also still just trying to find himself within that. He's young. He's just, in a general sense, trying to find himself in life.
Got you. Well, he's got a good model in Big Sis.
Oh, thanks.
So hopefully he follows suit.
Yeah.
What would you say to folks? What would you say? No, you not to artists, to managers. You got to talk to the manager.
Hey, let's go.
It's hard to follow up what Kennedy said. That shit was a banger. I would just say just lean into your intuition and trust your gut. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like do it daily. Try to do it with every decision. And I would say don't sign the first deal. And don't compromise your artist that you manage because you want money. It's gonna pay off in the long term. Well, I mean, I pray it pays off in the long term for you to keep your partnership intact than just get a quick dollar.
Yeah. I call it proactive patience. Like, you have to be patient. You're patient, but you're not just sitting doing nothing, right? Like, you are active, you're making moves, you're building on small wins, but you can't just take anything that comes to you. A lot of artists, kind of get desperate. That's kind of the worst place to be, where you feel like you need to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's dope. So
that's a bar too. Proactive patience is a bar.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys sharing your journey, your story here. We're going to have to maybe touch base in another 6 months to a year, to get the update and see how things are going. Yeah. See how the downloads from God series is going. Like, got to bring that. I got to see that in the coming months.
Well, you're probably going to just see it because the songs are just going to drop, and then that's what's going to happen. But yeah,
I feel like there's probably more stuff in those memos that she should be sharing with her fans. There should be something that you can use those to collect emails, or just with your tight community. I don't know if you have like one of those channels on Instagram too.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay, dope.
Cool. And it goes crazy too. So
there it is. Blessing. Please check out this young lady's music. It's dope. Kennedy, Ryon, Kosh, appreciate you being here. This has been another episode of the Independent Living Podcast. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Bye. Be safe. Thank you again.